everybody, this is Liz with 143 Handmade. I'm going to show you how to make these lovely little envelopes today. And they can be made out of pretty much any book page. It kind of depends on the look you're looking for, how you go about this. You do want a paper that's at least copy weight, and you don't want something that's brittle. If when you fold it, it breaks. You don't want that, obviously. Some of these could be mailed in regular mail. This one, I would be hesitant because of this little blip here. I need to go back in and, get my little corners tucked in, and that was to cover up just that tiny bit of text that was there. And I just thought that was, an interesting title. I'm not even sure what book that came from or what it was originally talking about. But I like the little page number, how it ends up centered on the top there. I thought that was cute. It has this little emblem here. In order to cover up the text on the inside, I have taken a page of coffee stained binder paper, or not binder paper, copy paper. It actually does have text on the other side, and I just glued it down text to text and covered it up, and then just reintroduced the fold, and there we go. And now we have a pocket, and as you can see, you still see the words in there, but when you look down in there, you can still see the words, but it doesn't scream at you the second that you open it. And you can easily tuck things in there. Let's see, here's a little journaling card. See, that fits nicely in there. Please excuse the thumping that you may hear. That is my cat Fuzzy trying to get in here. Here's another example. This was actually the cut off piece of a much larger page, and I didn't even bother to cover up the letters there. They were small, they were to the side. I really didn't worry about it. Let's see. But it's really just up to you and the aesthetic that you're looking for, and what purpose you want it to serve. Let's see, it tucks in there quite nicely. I did not put the little notch here on this one. You still can. I broke mine, so I can take that thing off. It just works better for me. Let's see, if you just open it up like so, and stick your chomper down in there. It's easier than I'm making it look at the moment. You can get it round about center. Bump it. There we go. Now we have a little thumb hole. And you can make that as deep as you want. I wouldn't suggest going any deeper than a half circle. But you can go as deep as you want. You could cut the whole circle out if you wanted. It's really your call. So I have sewn mine. Some of them I went ahead and just did the sewing detail all the way, just like so. On this one, I just stopped and started where it actually needed the anchoring. I do stitch all of my envelopes. I do not glue them. I really like sewing paper. I make quilts. I'm not making anything right now, any quilts at the moment. I don't really have the space to do that, and so sewing paper kind of meets that like sewing urge. And also there's a little bit of thrill there, getting away with sewing on paper, because my grandmother would have, sewing paper on her machine would have been terrible. But so here's another one with text. And how much you worry about it being upside down or backwards is really your call. It's very much up to you. Here's one that the image actually runs this direction, but I thought it still made a very cute little envelope to tuck in, and I mean, when you tuck it into a page, it's most likely going to be tucked in this direction anyways. Here, let me pull out a journal so you know what I mean. Say we wanted to just tuck this in and just have it be on the edge here and hold it on with a paper clip. See how pretty that is? And you take it off and got all these lovelies inside, and again, I'm just not that worried about the partial text. Some people very much worry about that, and that's totally your call. It is, there's no right or wrong. That is one of the fabulous things about the junk journal world, is that there's really, you know, if you end up with a book in the end that you like, you did it. You're done. You scored. So, and even if you don't love it, if you you know, feel like you learned something, if you know, it was still good enough to, you know, where a friend loved it and she, you know, he or she took it because they loved it that much, you know, or something like that, then it's still a win. Even if you don't love it, you never know who's gonna love your creations. So, but here's another one. Made out of, these are shiny papers, and here, that's another, sort of one of the things I wanted to address is to, you know, a lot of us in the junk journal world don't have access to those very old papers from the 1800s, those truly vintage papers. Can't afford it, can't find them, you know, whatever. We just don't have access to them. And so we have access to these very cheap, most thrift stores have, you know, field guides and nature books. This one was, The Roof of the Continent was the chapter name, but it was from a, like I want to say national parks tour guide kind of a thing. And so it's got beautiful pictures. And the fact that, you know, you have to flip it over to see this one right side up, you know, who cares? Like, nobody, you know, it's not a big deal what's right side up, what's upside down. But there are a few tricks so that way you can, you know, get it the way that you want it. See, like on this one, I wanted the lighthouse to be right side up. If I had done it the other way, a little bit of the lighthouse would have been on the flap, and then when you flipped it over, it would have been all weirdly upside down. And so where this image of the rock, you know, it really doesn't matter which direction you look at it, it looks cool. So, so there are a couple of little tricks I'll show you for keeping it, you know, the way that you want it. But really, it's an envelope. It's just a paper envelope. It's not rocket science here, you know. We don't have to get everything exactly right. It can be messy. See, like this, my stitching was incredibly close together right here, and then I got into the groove and got it to widen back out. And again, the stitching was very, very close together on this section, but much wider here. That's totally fine with me. My sewing machine left these little, like, marks where the feed dogs were scraping it. I'm totally fine with that. I think it just adds to the handmadeness of this. And I think that this, you know, this is a great way to use up those full page, you know, envelopes, or not envelopes, images that we have that, you know, are maybe too big to go into our journal, but just by themselves, or they just look weird if we try and fold them and have them be a page or whatever. And see, on this one, there was something up here I didn't care for, and so I just took out of a field guide a bunch of pictures of butterflies and just collaged them just right there on the little top on the fold, and there we go. And so now when you open it, your flap is reinforced and you've got these pretty little butterflies that are flying above this beautiful little farmhouse. But, okay, so here's an example of one of the papers that I've used to make my envelopes out of. This is a landscaping book. It's oversized. It's going to be kind of hard for me to get it on camera. But excuse me, but this can be done with pretty much any page, and I will show you with a text page in a minute. But just looking at this page, see, I want this image. I want this to be my focal image on the back. And let's see, where's one? Let's see, I don't have any right there where they got the back up, right side up, but to get this image to be right side up on the back, you want it to be You just take it and keep it right side up and flip your paper this direction. If I was worried if I wanted this image to be right side up, then I would flip it. I would have it upside down to me and then flip it this direction. But because I want this much larger one to be the focal and to be right side up, I think, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Here, we'll flip it this way and then fold it up this direction. And yes, this ends up being upside down, but we can cover that up. We can do lots of very cool things with that. And you fold this down, and how much you fold it down is totally up to you. It's how big your paper is, how much of an overlap you like. I like to have a fairly big gap here. Some crafters fold it straight down to this line here, you know, where this edge is. It's all about just self-expression and what you like. Somebody else will like it. And so what I would do here to mask this is I would take book page, or maybe just this field guide of butterflies, and let's see, that fills it quite nicely. These four right here. I might just glue that on over here, and then I may just take this little section and overlap it right there if I was that worried about it. Honestly, a lot of the times I don't bother to collage over it. You totally can. These words right here I probably would cover, just because they seem, when you're looking at it, the envelope flap, you know, I don't know, I can't explain why I like what I like, you know, it just is. So I would probably cover that up. But at this point, I would open that and I would take it to my sewing machine and just sew right along here. And again, sometimes I stop right here, sometimes I keep going. I don't have a way to record at my sewing machine at the moment. I am working on figuring that out. My sewing machine does not actually fit in here on my desk below the lights, so that's why I can't do it in here. Trying to work with my daughter and coordinating on her days off for her to help me. So, but that's how I would do that. If you could do it with glue, though, you could just glue right here, and then just fold it up. There you go, done. Let me see, here's just a regular book page. This is a great way to use up book pages, because in the junk journal world, we, you know, gutting books and all, we end up with a lot of book pages. Something I've started doing, because I was building up way too many innards like this. You know, this is just the inside of a field guide that I took the cover off of, and I have taken some of the images out. This one's for weather, so it's got some really pretty images in it, and I will use some of those images, but some of the books that I was getting and gutting and whatnot, I have decided that if I really love the paper, if I really love the text, if I really, you know, something about it, then I can keep up to half of the pages. But I have to destash the other half, and that will come in the form of, I do have like bundles available on my Etsy shop for exactly that. It's just me destashing some of those book pages, because you know, I consume the covers much faster than I consume the pages. So this is a great way to use up pages. The other way that I use up pages, though, is that I garden. I have 40 acres of clay soil that's very heavy. So anywhere I want to grow anything, I have to do some pretty intensive dirt building. And one of the best ways to do that is just with paper and time. And so I actually have a bucket just underneath my desk for clean paper, and that's what it does, is it goes outside and it becomes dirt. So nothing is wasted. Absolutely nothing is wasted in my paper crafting, because I either put it into another, repurpose it, putting it into another book, whether it's directly bound in, or in this case, it's these removable envelopes, or if it's paper that I've decided that I have too much of that and I just need to distash some of it will be sold to you guys. And the other portion goes to the garden. So I have a zero waste paper crafting system, which I love. I love that I figured out how to do something with zero waste. But anyway, back to the envelopes. Enough rambling. So this obviously has text on both sides. To make sure that the text is right side up on the, let's see, there's this. To get the text correct here, the text inside will be upside down. You cannot get both. The text correct here and the text correct here without cutting it apart. That is an option. You can cut it apart and glue it back together to get everything oriented the way that you want. But to just make it simple, focus on, I tend to focus on the outside of the envelope as opposed to the inside, but to get the paper, the writing the right side up on the outside of the envelope, this particular flap, flip the page to where it is upside down to you with the outside on the bottom. Whatever you want to be visible, that's the side that's down, and you want the text to be upside down to you with the page in its full form. And then you just take it and, you know, make your fold, and look, just like magic, this text is correct, right side up. And we fold this down, and look, that is right side up as well. Now the flip side is upside down, so it's really like you have to pick and choose which section, which part you want to be right side up if you're going to worry about it. I know that there are some crafters out there that just take their book pages and they just fold them willy-nilly. Some of them are right side up, some of them are upside down, and they make their envelopes that way. And that's great. That's fabulous. They still are envelopes. They still hold stuff. That's what we're going for. And if you plan to do heavy embellishment, it really doesn't matter because which direction the words are going. Because in junk journal world, we tend to put the lettering all cattywampus and upside down and to the side anyway. So, but if it matters, if you want this section of text to be correct, whether it be because you have a really pretty image right here, or, you know, whatever the case may be, that is the correct way to get it there. Let's see. Here, we'll go with this page. So let's say I want this to be my outside. This is what I want visible, and I want it to be, I want the flap, as we showed, I want the flap to be right side up. So we're going to do it one more time. Outside down, and we want the text upside down to us when we start. And then when we fold, you can see, just like that, it's right side up. So there you go. And really, if you're going to do the thumb hole, it is much easier to do, you know, before it's down. And I tend to just eyeball it. Totally feel free to mark it and get your fully centered there. Because you can tell, because this is a centered dot, that I am slightly askew. That doesn't bother me. If you're going to ink it, it really depends on your inking style and how you ink, whether you want to ink it now before it's closed or after. It's very much a preference thing. The ink that I have today is close to my heart, Exclusives Chocolate, and this is a very old ink pad. I honestly, I don't even know. It was my mother's. She passed away several years ago. I am still using her ink pads. I have had to refresh them. Just with she had the little bottles of the re-inker that she bought with the ink pads, so I've used that and just water. So both, they are getting, to the point where I need to start replacing some of them. But anyways, this is just a chocolate. It's just kind of a generic brown. It's a soft brown. This is just a makeup brush. I got the idea for using these from Pam at the Paper Outpost. Thank you, because this is awesome. These are way cheaper than buying the proper, like, Tim Holtz inkers, blending pads and all of that. I do have a couple of those, but for the expense, I was actually kind of disappointed. Like, a makeup sponge works almost as good. You can get that for super cheap, but these work really well. I like this much better than the effect that you get with the ink pad, or not the ink pad, excuse me, but with the makeup sponge. I do like this much better. And as you can see, it's a very soft chocolate. I should probably add some more water to it. I've been using it a lot lately, so it's been open a lot. I do find that when it sits open, I need to kind of re-moisten it. Just go around the edge. However, ink or don't ink, however you like or don't like. This is totally personal preference. There is no right or wrong on the inking. I would highly recommend, if you want to start inking and you have not inked before, just get some of your scrap paper and tear some edges and ink on that and experiment, so that way you don't feel that pressure of getting it right on an actual project. Explore your technique, on something that matters a little less. I like to ink the folds, both directions. Tend to go a little heavy on the corners and on the thumb. I tend to not ink on the inside, just so that way whatever I put on the inside, it pops a little better, I think. I don't know. That's my preference. But I do know that some people like to fold this back and ink that edge as well, and ink all of this. I like the contrast. I prefer that. So that's how I leave it. And then there we go. And this one, I probably would go ahead and embellish that with probably some like butterfly stickers or something like that, something generic that would, some neutral something that would go with just about anything. But as you can see, it's still totally readable. You can go, as you're reading down, you can roll it over and still read the poem. So again, that's totally your preference, your design preference, whether or not you want to leave that legible or if you want to just use that as, background and you kind of want to cover it up. Those are all choices that you have to make. Let's see, here's another one that I folded, and it was just the right size that I was able to fold this section up and have this one be completely plain except for the page number. That's such a small little whatever that, I kind of forget about it sometimes. And then, see, I was able to fold the flap down just so that way the entire poem, whose title is Poem, is visible on the back as well as the author's name. And it is all there, correct side up. And then there is, this is the other side. So again, just a little tiny sticker right there, or a stamp or something to disguise that if you're worried about it. And you have a very, elegant plain cover side, and then you have this side that has a complete poem on it. Those are all excellent options, ways to use up book page. So, thanks for hanging out with me today, and if I had any glue in reach, I would go ahead and glue these to show you that, you know, they do become envelopes just fine without sewing them. But my glue got taken out to the kitchen and I forgot before I started filming this video, so here we are. So but as you can see, there's no limit. You can use shiny pages, you can use big pages, you can use little pages, you can, you know, these envelopes are great for adding to any junk journal. You can tuck in all kinds of things, specimen cards, little die cuts, any kind of little imagery that you want. You know, these ones with no, they're just the shiny page and nothing glued to the outside. Check the sizing. You know, there are some limits on sizing, but I believe that glued shut properly, that this would be totally mailable in just the regular mail. You would probably, to mail it in Happy Mail, you would want to put just a dab of glue there and trim off the threads, you know, because the little sorting machines that envelopes go through, you know, they have the little wheels and you wouldn't want that getting hung up and tearing anything. So you might want to glue the ones that you're going to actually send through the mail. These I plan to all add to journals, but there really is no limit to the size or the shape that you get. So have fun playing with your papers. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Is this something that you would do? Did this help you? Did this, you know, give you an idea for how to use up maybe some of those shiny paper pages that, you know, the glossy papers that we kind of don't feel like fit into our junk journals as well? So if this helped you out, I'm very pleased. Please like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. Check out my Etsy shop if you're interested in purchasing a journal, or sometimes I have stuff like this for sale, because I'll get a little carried away and I'll make way too many, and so I'll put my extra in there. So, you know, check that out. I can't, right now I don't have a lot of consistent product. I'm still getting started, but I'm sure that will change, you know, as we get going here and I figure out what you guys want from, you know, what you guys like and all of that. So thank you very much for hanging out with me today.